Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Manchester United have just been handed a brutal preseason reality check. AC Milan 4. Manchester United 2. And yes, it was only a friendly. But when your former manager comes back, puts 4 past you, and exposes the exact weaknesses fans have been worried about all summer, it stops feeling like just a friendly. Today, we are talking about Ruben Amorim getting one over his former club, Manchester United's defensive problems, Bruno Fernandes missing another penalty, Marcus Rashford's return, and the biggest question of all, does this result send a message to the board that United still need to buy? Stay with me, because the scoreline is only part of the story. Manchester United actually started the game well. Harry Maguire gave United the lead, and for a while, Michael Carrick's side looked comfortable. They were moving the ball well. They were finding spaces. They were creating chances. But then the warning signs started. Milan found their equalizer. United were given a huge opportunity to regain control when they won a penalty. Bruno Fernandes stepped up and missed. That moment mattered. Because instead of going back in front and putting Milan under pressure, United allowed the game to remain open. Patrick Dorgu later scored to make it 2-1. So once again, Manchester United were in front. But from there, everything collapsed. Milan scored 3 times and turned a 2-1 deficit into a 4-2 victory. And here is the first big question. How does a team lead twice and still end up losing by 2 goals? That is where the real concern begins. The biggest issue was balance. Manchester United looked dangerous going forward. But when possession was lost, the structure behind the ball was far too open. The distances between midfield and defense became too big. Milan were able to attack the spaces quickly. And once United were forced into emergency defending, the backline looked uncomfortable. This is exactly the kind of problem that can punish you in the Premier League. You can dominate possession for 10 minutes. You can create chances. You can even score twice. But if you lose control every time the opposition breaks, you are going to suffer. Michael Carrick did not hide from that after the match. The message was clear. There is no room for excuses now. Preseason is almost finished. The real season is about to begin. And that is why this defeat feels more serious than the word friendly suggests. Now we need to talk about Bruno Fernandes. Let me make one thing clear. Bruno is still one of Manchester United's most important players. He is still the captain, still the creative leader, still the player United rely on when games become difficult. But penalties? That conversation is starting. Because another miss immediately creates pressure. Every penalty taker misses. Cristiano Ronaldo has missed. Lionel Messi has missed. The best players in football history have missed. But when misses start coming close together, confidence becomes part of the discussion. Does Carrick keep Bruno as the #1 penalty taker? Probably, for now. But United also have players like Bryan Mbeumo, Matheus Cunha, and eventually Benjamin Sesko, who could become alternatives. And imagine the pressure if United receive a penalty in their opening Premier League game. Everybody will remember what happened against Milan. So the next Bruno penalty could suddenly become one of the most watched moments of the opening weekend. And then there is Marcus Rashford. One of the biggest stories of this entire preseason. Rashford is back. A player who looked completely finished at Manchester United under Ruben Amorim has now been given another opportunity under Michael Carrick. And the irony could not have been better. His return came against Amorim, the man who previously pushed him out of the first-team picture. Now, Rashford did not come on and produce a Hollywood comeback. He did not score. He did not create a match-winning moment. He did not immediately force Carrick to build the team around him. But this story is not finished, because the relationship between Rashford and Manchester United appears very different now. Carrick has left the door open. And that means Rashford still has something to fight for. His body language matters. His intensity matters. His attitude in training matters. And most importantly, his performances matter. Because if Marcus Rashford gets back to anything close to his best level, Manchester United suddenly have another serious attacking option without spending a penny. But if he cannot, then the transfer question returns immediately. One player who did help himself was Patrick Dorgu. He scored. He played with energy. He attacked directly. And he was one of the players who gave Milan problems. That matters because United's left side is still a major discussion point. Can Dorgu become a long-term solution? Can Luke Shaw stay fit? Does Carrick still want another left-sided defender? These are important questions because every transfer decision is connected. If Dorgu proves he can handle the role, United may be able to spend money elsewhere. If the defensive problems continue, the board may have no choice but to look again at the market. And that brings us to the biggest subject of the day. Manchester United still look like a team that needs something. The question is, what? Carrick has already made it clear that United are not planning to throw around £100 million on one player. The club has financial limits. They have already invested in the squad. So if there is another signing, it needs to be smart. It needs to solve a real problem. And after Milan, two areas stand out. Number 1. A defender who can improve the left side and give United more stability. Number 2. A midfielder who can protect the back four and stop transitions. Because right now, United can look very good with the ball. The bigger problem is what happens without it. You can have Bruno Fernandes. You can have Cuna. You can have Mbumo. You can have Sesko. You can have all the attacking talent in the world. But if the midfield gets bypassed and the defense is exposed every time you lose possession, the forwards cannot save you every week. And that 4-2 scoreline might have sent the clearest possible message to the board. The shopping may not be finished yet. There is also a deliciously ironic part to all of this. Ruben Amorim, the former Manchester United manager. The man who was heavily criticized at Old Trafford. The man whose system became one of the biggest talking points during his time at the club. He comes back with AC Milan and scores 4. You could not write it better. Milan went behind twice. But Amorim's team stayed in the game. They responded. And they eventually punished United badly. Does that mean Amorim was right about everything at Manchester United? Of course not. Does one friendly rewrite his entire time at Old Trafford? Absolutely not. But football is about moments. And this was definitely Amorim's moment. If you wanted a sarcastic headline, it almost writes itself. Thanks for the lesson, Ruben. But now the pressure moves back onto Carrick. Because the real response comes next. Manchester United are about to start the Premier League season. That is when everything changes. No more experiments. No more we are building fitness. No more the result does not matter. Once the league begins, every mistake costs points. And that is why this Milan game can actually help United. Sometimes a bad result at the end of preseason is useful. It exposes weaknesses. It kills false confidence. It tells the manager exactly what still needs fixing. The problem only comes if those weaknesses remain unchanged. Carrick now has to make decisions. Does he change the midfield balance? Does he protect the fullbacks more? Does he use a more conservative structure? Does he push the board for another signing? And does Marcus Rashford become part of the solution? Those are the questions that will define Manchester United's final days before the season starts. So before we finish, let me leave you with 3 questions. First, should Bruno Fernandes remain Manchester United's first-choice penalty taker? Second, should Marcus Rashford be given another full season under Michael Carrick? And third, if Manchester United can sign only one more player, what position would you choose? A left-back? A defensive midfielder? A centre-back? Or something else? Because for me, the defeat to AC Milan was not a disaster, but it was a warning. A loud one. Manchester United scored twice. They led twice. And still lost by 2 goals. That tells you there is work to do. The Premier League is coming. The transfer window is getting closer to the deadline. And now, every decision matters. If you enjoyed this Manchester United news update, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. And let me know in the comments. Did Amorim simply win a friendly, or did he just teach Manchester United a lesson they badly needed? See you in the next one.